Welcome to the Coffee Club, broadcasting live from New York with your host, Felix, and co-host, Dr. Mark. So let's have a cup of coffee and enjoy the show.
Come on, let's go.
There is no heaven.
They can
There
hear
is
you.
no hell. There is only this world and its dark reflection. And we do not know in which of the two worlds we are.
I know they can hear me. I was hurrying him up. He's on union wages. I can't afford to have just sit there and be silent.
Well, he also doubles as a butler, don't forget.
That's true.
You know, you've got mail, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show, The Coffee Club, with your hosts, Felix.
And Dr. Mark. And believe it or not, up until a minute and a half ago, we weren't sure we'd be on time.
Yeah, we were having technical difficulties.
You know, speaking of which, I think it was rather interesting. I don't know if any of our listeners know, but Chad has now joined us with his own show on Saturday night, and he used the same exact term, technical difficulties. Please stand by. You know?
Yes, Chad. 1,000,000% what?
Yes. 1,000,000% something. I don't know.
What's it called? Anybody know? Anybody listen to it?
I listened, but I don't remember. Other than the 1,000,000%, I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's a religious show, and he's a instead of 100% sure, he's 1,000,000% sure that God exists, and he could prove it.
Well, you see, now we're 100% sure that God exists, but
We can't prove
Chad
it.
would no, but not only that. Chad would say,
He's not my God.
well, no, he would say, which God?
You know, to me,
I know what you're going to say, and I agree. I'm reading minds now.
I was going to say I really don't care.
What I was going to say, I thought you were going to say that,
It's all the same God.
yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say. And Chad readily knows that that's exactly how Felix and I feel.
I mean, look, I believe the Christians look at the Bible.
You feel better now?
Yes. you see me watching it? I believe the Christians in the Bible do believe in the Old Testament. That builds into the New Testament. And they believe in Genesis and everything else, do they not?
Well, if you recall, back when Chad was on our show, before he graduated to his own show, the fact remains that, Christianity it's one of the Abrahamic religions.
It's an
and
offshoot.
It comes from Judaism.
It's an
because,
offshoot.
Let's face it, Jesus was a Jew.
Yeah, it's an offshoot of Judaism. Now, and they say God created the earth in 7 days. They know about Adam and Eve. They believe it, and that's the same God the Jewish religion created.
Well,
in 7
actually,
days.
Orthodox Judaism believes, as does Chad. Okay, now I'm talking about the Orthodoxy, that the Earth is 6,000 years old. That's how far, the Jewish calendar. It was
It's not
57. It was 5776.
It's not just Jewish calendar. It's all the Jewish religions believe it. The other ones just sort of.
Well, no. Orthodox Judaism believes more than anything else. If you talk to a Reformed rabbi would tell you that he believes in the Bible up to a certain point, because as an educated person, how can you dispute the proof that the Earth is, millions of years old, and that our solar system is 2.4 billion years old?
Yeah.
But Chad disputes the fact that there is proof or not for that.
Well, anyway, but what I'm saying is, but that's that God that says all these things. right? That tells them that Adam
Well,
and
I
Eve.
don't know. God didn't say anything to me. Did he say anything to you?
Yeah, he said, hey, Adam and Eve created the earth. The heavens
No,
and
Adam and
earth,
Eve didn't
yeah.
create the earth.
I know. I mean, God created the heavens and the earth and all that good stuff. But what I'm saying, that's their God, isn't it? That said that?
Well, I saw something very funny on
You're not answering me. Is
What?
that their God that said that?
Well,
Did they
the way
believe
I
it-
feel, look,
did
God
they believe,
is...
No, did they believe in Genesis? Is that their God?
Well, they believe that... And then there's the New Testament, which is supposed to be
The
Gospels
continuation.
according to Jesus' teachings, and
Yeah.
the Gospel according to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Okay? So they pick up from there.
Yeah. So up to that time, they all believed in the same God. How all of a sudden did they become a different God?
I don't know, ask Chad, but that's only part of today's show. In fact, it's not even supposed to be today's show. If you read the blurb, ladies and gentlemen,
It was
the Mets are up 2-0. And I said, speaking as a Yankee fan, personally, I don't care much for the Mets. I wouldn't root for them. But especially, how could you not root for the Cubs? It's been 108 years since they've been in a World Series. How can you not root for the Cubs? I don't understand this.
yeah, but
And I'm very surprised, and I'm hoping, because I also said that, you may remember, up until a bunch of years ago, the Yankees were up 3-0 against Boston, and then Boston came back and won the other 4 games, and then they went on to win the World Series.
well, so that's what you're hoping for.
Well, look, I mean, the Cubs fans have waited so long.
Well,
I really do hope that they manage to get into the World Series.
Well, the Met fans will tell you they've been waiting quite a while also. 20-some odd years
They
or
haven't
something.
been waiting 108 years. That's for damn sure.
But what they are saying is they think the Cubs are going to be in it for a few years because they got a lot of young, good players who will be around for a while.
Well, I hope so. In which case, if it happens again, I'll say, okay, now I'm not rooting for the Cubs.
Especially if they're playing.
Yeah, see, there he is. He's doubling.
I
That's
don't
his
need
other
to know your
job.
messages.
But Felix and I have a special treat for you, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be singing a cappella.
Huh? No,
And we are going to be singing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Now, if you know anything about the Cubs used to have an old-time announcer named Harry Carey. And every 7th-inning stretch, he would sing that to all of the fans in Wrigley Field. Okay? I don't know, what are you looking for it, or are we going to sing a cappella?
well, we can sing along.
Well, that's if you find it.
Well, let's see if I found it. I have no idea.
I don't know either. You're the technical person. Get ready, folks. Any minute.
Any minute.
To the
Ball game. Take me out to the
road. Buy me some peanuts
and Cracker Jacks.
I don't care if I ever get that, 'cause it's rooting for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For
This
it's
1, 2, 3, out at the old ball game. Yay! Now that's our crowd singing along with us, our audience.
Well, actually, that was a crowd from a specific team because they did mention a certain
I read
team.
the song my motherfucking self.
What the heck is
Call,
this?
Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Oh, this is part
The
of a
black
comedy
version.
skit.
I said, take. I said, take.
Me out.
To the ball game. Take. I said, take.
Who is this?
Bernie Mac.
Out.
With the crowd.
Bernie Mac.
Oh, okay.
Now buy me some peanuts. Buy me some peanuts. Buy me. Take. Oh, Bernie Mac.
All right, that's a little bit of Bernie Mac. Take me out to the ball game, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no, not again.
What's this, a little Baroque music or what? I'll say it's Baroque.
We're going to a Mets game tonight. This is my second baseball game. I've been to a Yankees game thanks to Nicole, and tonight I've got the tickets and we're going to a Mets game.
Okay, that's enough of that. I'm not even sure what we were playing.
That's true. But the Mets won the second game, 4-2. Okay. The series resumes tomorrow in Chicago.
Were they going to win another game?
Well, I hope that Chicago at least wins. I'd like to see Chicago even it out, you know.
Yeah, well, I understand. No, I do understand also the Mets are favored not to sweep it.
Well, I mean, they took the first two games at home. They do have home field advantage. Okay. How they do on the road is another story. But, I mean, the momentum is certainly in their favor right now.
Isn't there ace pitcher with a wonderful hairdo pitching next game?
DeGrom? No, usually you go with 3 or 4 starters in the playoffs or the World Series. Now, the third game, you know, he pitched the first game, so he wouldn't be pitching in the third game.
They were
if he pitches
talking
at
about-
all, he would be pitching in the fourth game.
They said they thought that he had enough rest to pitch the third game.
Well, I don't know. I mean, look, you know, you're taking a chance. I mean, he's a
That's
young
what I
kid.
thought I heard. I may be wrong.
He's a young kid. I mean, they played when? Friday and Saturday, correct?
And he played
He
Friday.
played Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Tuesday would be the fourth day. I don't know. That's only 3 days rest. So
I don't know.
I
What
don't know what their rotation was. You know.
And I don't know what he usually plays on. If he plays on a 4-day,
Well,
5-day.
look, don't forget, this is not the World Series. This is the
Yeah.
playoffs. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to test his arm and push him.
I thought that's what I heard, but maybe definitely I wasn't paying
Well, look,
attention
they
to
can
it.
certainly
So
give him another day's rest at least. I mean, they're up 2-0.
yeah, no,
So it's not like this is a must-win game for the Mets. They'd like to win,
Yeah.
but
Well, maybe I heard that they thought they would win tomorrow, then he would close it in 4. Maybe that's what I heard. I don't know.
maybe.
But either way, a lot of people are rooting for the Cubs, like Dr. Mark, understandably being such underdogs all these years and not being in the World Series for awful long time. Well, at least they've made it to a playoff game. Have they made any? When was the last time they made a playoff
Well,
game?
the Cubs were in a playoff game in 2006, if I recall correctly, and unfortunately, that was the era of the Bartman, Bartman, who was a Cubs fan, and he interfered with a play. The outfielder had the ball in his sights, and he was going to pull it in, and Bartman stuck his hands out, and because it was going into the crowd, you know, the ruling was that he had every right to go after the ball. And you would say to yourself, well, being a Cubs fan, don't you want him to let the guy catch the ball so get the Cubs out of a jam? Well, what happened, I just read this over the weekend, what happened was that they scored a few runs that inning, and then they went on. This is the Miami Marlins.